Hello folks, let me welcome you in this video in which I'm going to show you how you can install Spark in Anaconda Python. Well, if you have a requirement that you have to use PySpark, then you need to have Anaconda installed, and then using Anaconda Conda installer, you can install Spark and the relevant packages. So let me show you. For that, we have to begin with the Anaconda. Well, hoping that you guys have already Anaconda Python been installed. Now, if you have it, then well and good. If not, then kindly install Anaconda Python. Afterward, what you can do is you can open up your Anaconda Python here, like your Anaconda launcher will launch your Anaconda environment. So let it be happen. It's initializing it. Once its initialization is done, it will launch, then we can move forward. All right, so my Anaconda environment has launched. Now, this is your Anaconda navigator in which you can see all your Jupyter notebook, Jupyter lab, all that other UI tool being integrated like Spider, etc., etc. Well, I'm not interested on this GUI as of now. What I wanted to do it entire installation using command line. And for that, I have to go from home to environment. You may be seeing it on the left hand side. We have multiple options, and I'm interested on the second option, what we have called environments. So I'm just clicking on the environments, and in environments we have one environment called base root, which is basically for Anaconda Python. All right, and these are the different packages which has come by default install into this environment. So similarly, what I'm going to do it is I'm going to create an environment, separate environment for PySpark, and then going to put my all libraries, all the dependencies within that for accessing Spark using Python. All right, so let's get into that. For that, I need to click on this play button, which will give me multiple options. And from this multiple options, I'm going to choose it the first option over here called terminal. All right, again, clicking on that, going and choosing an option called terminal, and it says open terminal. Now, all this operation, I'm going to do it over here within this open terminal. So let's navigate to that, and we have a command line which has open. Let me resize it so that it can be fit in with all commands. Well and good now. Now, what I wanted to do it at the very first is um, I want to see what are the environment we have it as such inside this Anaconda. Well, you already know that, guys. We have only one environment called base root, and this is for Anaconda Python 3, right? So what I want, still I wanted to see it over here on the command line. Well, all the commands related to Anaconda will be followed by Conda as a command. So Conda is the package through that we call out the subcommands within that. Like if we are working normally into Python or in a Linux, we sometimes use like pip installer or pip as a package through which we call all the value. Likewise, Anaconda has conda as a command. So conda, and then we have to look for an environment. So we'll say environment, and we wanted to list out all the environments. So simply we'll say conda environment list. And with this, what will happen, we'll be seeing all list of environment available inside this Anaconda so far. So whatever the Anaconda version I have installed, I have one environment which is a base environment. If you can see it, it's saying here clearly, it's a base environment, which is basically for Anaconda 3, right? So we already have seen it in the navigator that this is one environment we have it. So let's do one thing. Let's create a new environment which will be dedicated for PySpark. So let's do that. And for that, we are going to write it command followed by conda, and we wanted to do it creation. So we'll say create hyphen n for naming a new environment. And let me call my new environment as PySpark hyphen env. All right, so that's my new environment which is going to be created. So let's do that. And with this, uh, it says like, okay, the same location you have already another environment. Not a problem because I have it already. So let me repeat it at least off. And I said, yes, I want it. I'm proceeding with that. And here we go. We have got my environment created. Well, for your case, you will not be seeing all these options because I have already created an environment and already I have this environment been accumulated. So in the folder side where the directory is present, my directory has already a subdirectory called PySpark -env. So not to worry on that. We just have replaced it where you need to activate your environment to get started and working on that. And for that, you need to write a command called conda activate PySpark env. And if you want to deactivate it, then you have a command given over here called conda deactivate. All right. So you can, if you write it conda deactivate, you will be coming out from your environment. So as of now, we are working on a base environment. Now I want to switch it into my PySpark environment. So for getting into that, we have to write it conda activate PySpark hyphen environment. All right, that's the name, env. So go for that. And with this, what has happened, you may be seeing it, your prompt has changed, and now we are into PySpark environment. Okay. Earlier we were there on the base environment. Now, once it is done, now here I wanted to install Python. Really? Well, not only the Python, but the PySpark as well. So all the packages related to PySpark, we wanted to install it within this PySpark environment. All right. For that, we have to call it again conda, and we wanted to install PySpark. So through conda package installer, we'll be calling it PySpark and we are going and installing it. So let's go for it. It's solving the environment. All right. It is asking that these are the packages what you are going to get it. Look at here. All the packages which are required will be enlisted here. If anything is missing, I can do a separate installation for that. All right. So we simply have to say yes here so that it will initiate and it will download and install all these packages within this environment. Well, don't forget all this package installation, what is happening? It is happening in this new environment called PySpark-env. So my Anaconda 3 as a base environment is not been interrupted as such. It is separately there. Now I'm having a separate environment for PySpark. So if you simply wanted to run it Python activity on a Jupyter notebook on Anaconda, you can do so by selecting it Anaconda 3 or Python 3 as an environment. Then we have a dedicated environment for my PySpark. So now I can see all the packages has been downloaded, extracted. I have already the package downloaded. So it just have extracted and installed it. All right. Now, simply for testing it, whether the PySpark has been implemented or not, I can simply type here Python and I'll be getting into the Python prompt where I can simply type import PySpark. Okay, so this is PySpark code. So if it is running successfully, it's not throwing an error, which means you have now PySpark been successfully running. Now, one more command, let me try it. From PySpark.sql, I wanted to import it Spark session. All right, there we go. It's successfully running. Now, well and good, testing is done. So let me exit it from the Python command. All right. Let me also clear the screen. so that we can move it to the top so that we can see the further installation. Now, guys, we have installed my PySpark into a certain environment. But as of now, my Anaconda, Jupyter Notebook, or Jupyter Lab, where we wanted to access my PySpark, is not been integrated. Well, how do I get to know that? What are the kernels which are available in the Jupyter? So that you need to type in a command called Jupyter, Jupyter, and then we have to know that kernels, kernel specification, SPEC list. So this will show you all the kernels which are been integrated so far into your Jupyter site as of now. Well, forget about that because I have already been integrated here. So for you, this will not be showing up. You'll be only seeing it only one option called Python 3. All right. So Python 3 will be there for you at your site. All right, which means we have only one environment. Now, let's see that how to integrate this PySpark environment into Jupyter so that we'll be going and dedicatedly accessing this environment to call my PySpark code. All right. For that, make sure that just make sure that some of the prerequisite has to be there. Like in case if you're having any error, so prerequisite as in prerequisite, just call for it, conda install, and install another package called ipy kernel. Okay, ipy kernel. Go for it. And once it is done, then we can start integrating our new environment to my Jupyter notebook. All right, see, it's almost done. All right, it's almost done. There we go. Now we are good from here. Let me clear the screen. Now what I have to do, I have to, by using my ipy kernel, I have to go and install my new user who's having a name called PySpark environment. All right, so let's do that. Let's call it Python using Python command -m ipy kernel install the user the name of the user equal to PySpark env. All right. Let the have the dispute happen here because we might be already having it. It says install kernel specification PySpark py spark env in this particular directory. Okay, that's really perfect. Now I can call for my Jupyter kernel specification list, and we already have seen that it was there. So I mean, uh, you can still see that we have PySpark environment already been integrated over here. Okay. Um, in case, guys, uh, in case if you are wondering, like if you're not seeing it, same thing, then to repeat the steps, I recommend that. But before that, we start using the Jupyter Lab or Jupyter Notebook. One more important thing as a prerequisite, you do it. Maybe you might have error when you're trying to access it. So just say that conda install -c uh, conda-forge the find Spark package. Okay, with this, identifying Spark will be easy on Jupyter Notebook. So let this package be also installed with this. And then after, once it is done, we'll be going and opening up our Jupyter Notebook and we'll be testing it, my commands of PySpark over there. So we are almost done. There we go. It's looking for the package, find Spark from Conda Forge package install package. All right, it's done. There we go. Let me clear the screen now. Now what I have to do, I have to go for calling out my Jupyter notebook, or I can call it Jupyter Lab, whatever. So let's hit enter. And with this, we'll be having my Jupyter notebook open over here. If I go into new, I can see two environments, Python 3 and PySpark environment. All right. So PySpark environment is what I have to access to, where I have installed Spark. So let me open up. The other one is basically for Python. Here, what I'm going to do it is I'm going to say that import find Spark, and now you know that why I have installed find Spark. Then I'm going to call it from by using find Spark dot initialize. I'm just initializing it. So wherever the Spark is there, it will initialize it. And then I'm going to say that find Spark dot find. So with this, we'll be able to see that where the Spark has been installed. So let's go for it. I can see that the Spark is there on the C Spark dot 3.3 dot 1 dot bin hyphen Hadoop 3. So that's the location. Basically under the Anaconda directory, it goes and it has been installed. That's why it says slash slash over here for your Spark. All right. Fair enough. Now, what I can do is let me have my some of the commands copied over here. I'm just gonna call my PySpark command, and using PySpark, I'm just gonna take Spark context and going to call out that Spark context and Spark session, and then using that, I'm gonna proceed further and going to launch Spark UI. Okay, once this is initiated, is completed, I can type it as C, and when I execute it, I can see Spark UI, which is going to take me to the Spark UI environment where I can see all my executions, jobs, storage, environments, etc., etc. So all those activities, whatever you are doing it on Spark, can be monitored, can be seen over here in Spark UI. So with this, guys, you are able to see that we are able to execute all my PySpark commands over here on the Jupyter, which is powered by Anaconda. All right. With this, guys, we are finishing this part of the lab setup for your hands-on work. Hope you guys are fine, good with that. In case if you are having any issue, do let your mentor know or do let your coordinator know. Probably they can reach out to me for the solution. Thank you very much and happy learning.